Welcome to the Real Estate Pros of Houston podcast, where host Mark Zachary talks to high-producing real estate agents in the Houston area about their story and what makes them so successful. Each episode, our guests will tell you what they're doing that works and what makes them so successful, as well as insights that will help you take your business to the next level. Now, here's Mark delivering a true real estate pro of Houston.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston. And today we have a lady out of Cyprus by the name of Jill Bennett. And Jill, it sure is great to have you on today.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
You bet. Well, good. We love doing this. And, I hired a company that I said, go find me the best people in town when it comes to real estate, and somehow they found you, and I'm glad they did. So we really appreciate the time, and I know you're super busy, and it's getting into spring selling season, and I think it's going to be end up being a good year. So, but thank you again for giving us some time. Yeah. I like to start the podcast basically with my staple question. Jill, tell us your story. How long have you been in Houston? How long have you been in the real estate business? Maybe a little bit about your family, if you care to share about your family. And but yeah, just tell us your story.
Well, I am from Colorado. I moved.
That's why the 303 number.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I've had that number since cell phones came out. So how many years has that been?
I used to avoid numbers that didn't have a 713 or whatever, and now everybody keeps their number no matter where they go. So I was wondering if you were from that area. So sorry to interrupt.
Yes. No worries. And my husband took a job down here in 2009, and I moved down here in 2010. And I retired from the airlines. I was a flight attendant for 22 years.
Really?
And I was not very good at retirement. So I had always had a fascination with real estate. Went into real estate in 2011 here in Houston.
Okay.
And have been plugging away ever since. It's turned into more of a passion than a job. Definitely.
Yeah, I find that with most everybody that I'm having on this show, they just have a passion to help people, and they have a passion to help people get their first home or their second home or whatever that stage of life they're in. Mm-hmm. They just want to serve, and I think that is so common between you top producers in the area, and you do it the right way. And you're more than a transaction. It's more than a transaction to you. And I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but that seems to be pretty common, that they just love what they do.
Well, definitely. And everyone's like, oh, you're so good at sales. And I'm like, it's really not sales. It's educating someone about the biggest purchase of their life. And
yeah.
I want them to find, their dream home or their first home or whatever. They came to me for me to help them and educate them. So I don't feel that it's actually a sales position. It's more of an educator.
Yeah. You're a guide.
A guide. I'm a marriage counselor. I'm I'm all of the therapists, we wear many hats.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so when you were in Colorado, what part of Colorado were you in?
Well, we homesteaded my family in Estes Park, Colorado back in 1928.
Oh my gosh.
And then my mother is still there, and we still have our family home up there. Really? And then we raised some of our children down in South Denver in Highlands Ranch area.
Mm-hmm.
After I got married, and then we moved to Texas from there.
I used to go to Denver a lot. I used to oversee the mortgage operations for Pulte Homes, and
Oh,
I
yes.
was over Austin and Houston and Phoenix, and our corporate headquarters was in Inglewood, Colorado.
Oh, yeah,
And
not
so I
far at
was up
all.
there. Really? Oh
Not
yeah,
far at all.
I love that area. Just obviously it's beautiful there. So just
I
getting to
do
go.
miss how picturesque that is.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't really miss the snow, but I do miss the weather and the scenery.
Well, today's a great day for weather. That's for sure here in Houston. So we better enjoy this because the 105, 110 at 100% humidity is coming in July and August. So, well, you know what? I'm going to get into more business stuff here. What drives you to get up in the morning? I mean, what is your why? I guess.
My family's my why. Get all teary eyed because my
Yeah.
kids are so important to me. Um, they are probably my why right now. Um, my husband and I have some goals, lifelong goals that I would like to accomplish. That's going to be my second why. Is
Mhm.
so when we do hit the retirement phase my second time around, we do want to experience some things we weren't able to do when we were younger. So um, my family is the most important thing to me, and I get up every morning for them.
Wait, and how old are your kids?
My youngest is now a freshman at Texas A&M, and she
Really?
is 19, and they go all the way up. We have a blended family, so we have a total of 6 girls.
Wow. And no
So
boys.
no boys. Well, I take that back. We have one of our grandsons just moved here from Florida last spring, and it has been such a
Yeah.
delight having him here.
Oh my gosh. I tell you what, you hit it on the head. I mean, my family's super important to me. I've only got two girls, and they're 31 and 29. They're both A&M graduates, and one is a teacher, and then the other one is a PA. And we had to let her go off to West Virginia for 3 years to finish her PA school, and I thought I was going to die with
Yes.
her being 17 hours away for a drive. And it crushed me to let them go to A&M, and that's only an hour up the road.
I know,
And
I know.
so
My number 5 swam at LSU. She was a swimmer,
oh
and
really?
she just graduated with her MBA, and she's now moved home,
Yeah.
and that's been an adjustment. So we love having her home, but we were used to a quiet house.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well, that's so just wanted at home from
one
school,
at
came back
home.
from school.
She actually started her adult job on
Oh yeah?
Monday, but she will be
Okay.
going back to school. She needs a second master's to continue on what she wants to do. But we
Ah.
have 3 girls. 3 of our girls are within driving distance. So I will take that any day.
Well, I will too, especially now because I just my oldest daughter had our first grandchild back in May of last year, so he's a little over 9 months, and thank God they live in the Bridgelands, and I can get over there in about 15 minutes if I have to, and I go fairly often. If they need a new tube of toothpaste, I will volunteer to go take that over there to them. But man, what fun they are! I love having
Oh,
grandkids.
yes. It
So, how
is
many
so much
grandkids
fun.
do you have?
We have 9 total,
9.
and we have a mixture of boys and girls. But a few years ago, this was kind of funny. Our oldest granddaughter had sent a picture of my husband from his senior yearbook because she goes to the same high school. And so she put
Oh,
her
really?
picture and Papa's picture next to each other and
Oh
sent them
my
to us.
gosh!
And we thought that was the funniest thing since sliced bread. It was just, oh my goodness. We don't have one that old, but now she's in college, and that's been kind of fun. And then we have a grandson that will be 2 in May, and he lives here. So that's been fun.
Yeah, I tell you, they're so much fun. I wish I'd had them first.
I know. Doesn't quite work that way, but
No, it doesn't. But yeah, I wish I would have had more kids so I could have the opportunity to have more grandkids. But I guess me wanting, 10 to 15 grandkids is going to be out with the fact that I only have 2 myself. So anyway, well, that's
yes,
great.
they get very expensive. They get very expensive.
Yeah, well, you've obviously done very well with raising your girls. You can give us a couple of tips that you have as a mother of some
Oh dear.
great kids, obviously. What would you say?
That's putting me on the spot. I don't know.
Okay.
We're
You know
very
somebody
honest
that,
with each other, huh?
yeah. No, you go ahead.
No, just that one of the things we are adamant about is whether it's good, bad, ugly, how much trouble you're going to get into, always tell the truth. And I think that has helped when one of them comes home with a tattoo that my eyes get bugged out and I take a deep breath and it's like, okay, it's okay. But I think that's one of the big things. And we're very into family. We always try to do stuff together, whether even with our crazy schedules. We had a couple of my daughters were over last night, and you know what? We just picked up a card game for 30 minutes and spent time together. And really? I think just taking, even though it's not a long full day or a full evening, it's just taking that time to laugh, have fun, and be a family, I think is very important.
Yeah, very, very true, especially in today's world with you turning out on the news and all that, it's nothing but bad news. So, you're better off playing cards with your daughter or your son and turning the news off and just enjoying the time. And that was a big thing for us, was just staying involved with our kids. And I mean, everything from, they went to Cy Woods and in band, softball. I coached their softball teams all the way up through high school, and so we were just always involved. And because the time goes fast, you know that it's fast.
My youngest went to Cy Woods, and
really?
One of the things we instilled in the girls all through school was you needed to be in something extracurricular.
Yep.
And we didn't care what it was. And my youngest wanted to be a cheerleader, and she did that cheer all the way through, the competitive cheer. And then they didn't have freshman cheerleaders at Cy Woods that year. And I said, well, you have to find something to do.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, I guess I'll swim. Everyone else in the family's a swimmer. So she swam and she got into water polo. And she had no interest at all anymore in cheering. She just dove in and became a really good water polo player. But I think being in something, whether it's color guard or swimming or whatever, I think being in a sport gives the child that discipline.
Yeah.
That they need. They're not on their phones. They're not on electronics. They're not getting peer pressure. They could be, throughout the day, but at least for a 2-hour increment, they are not. They are focused on that sport or that activity. And I think that really is helpful.
Yeah, we did the same thing. We made sure that they were involved in something, and it keeps them out of trouble that way. Katie was in band and Emily was in softball and in choir. And so, we had the same philosophy. You get involved and that'll keep you out of trouble. You won't have time to get into any trouble. So All right. Well, I'm going to switch really over to the business side of things now, and ask you a few questions about your business. And well, how do you define success in regards to a transaction? What has to happen that man, this was a perfect transaction. This was a successful deal.
Um, it's the connection I feel I can make with a client. Um,
Hmm.
yes, there is the legal aspect and there's finding the home, but it's also how can I connect in other ways? Um, I really do enjoy finding out about their culture or their family or um, just what I work with a lot of uh, um, uh, international cultures. And
Hmm.
it just is fascinating to me. And also being in the flight attendant, going to most of the places that my clients have, are from,
Yeah.
I just really like to learn about them. And I think if they come back to me, is my goal is always to have a repeat client. And that is showing my success with my clients is if they will call me a year later and ask me a question, or we've made that connection with
Right.
not just about getting into a house or selling their home, is they are comfortable in calling me and asking me, okay, here's my tax bill. Does it look right? Or,
Right.
or what color should I paint this room? I mean, it's that building that connection of trust and um, a friendship in a sort. Not that I would go to lunch or whatever, but the fact that they're
Yeah.
comfortable with me and my advice,
Right.
that means the world to me. The
And,
world
and
to
they're
me.
and when you connect that way, they're more than likely going to refer people to you because you
Mhm.
took care of them and you stayed in touch with them, and they trust you with their friends and family. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, I have a prime example of that. Is I met this gentleman probably 4 or 5 years ago. I got him into a lease,
Hmm.
and then a few years later, I got him into another lease, and he's not ready to buy, but he referred me to his friend that was ready.
Yeah.
And I just sold his friend a house last year. Well, now I was helping him with his HOA and um, his escrows and different things at the beginning of this year. And he goes, oh, a couple of my friends are getting ready to purchase. I'm going to give them your name. I have 3 of his friends right now under contract. And
Wow. Look
it's
at
just the way
you.
it goes is you have to make that connection. It's I want to say it's not all about the house. It is about the house, but it's also about finding out about them and
Yeah.
what they enjoy and what they do. And all of these gentlemen are from a country in South America, and just it's so interesting to learn and meet their families and meet their
Yeah.
children, and they all come up and hug me, and I just love that. And I
Yeah.
think that building that type of relationship is what I pride myself in. They're not just a client, they're just not a home
Yeah.
buyer. They are an
Friend.
extension of what I like to provide. I mean, I just got invited to a baby shower. One of my clients is having a baby, and
Oh
of
my
course,
gosh.
this is why they bought that big house, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely like to support when I can. Um, if I have one that plays baseball, and I always send over, they always sell the popcorn or whatever, and
Hmm.
it's just supporting the families outside of the transaction.
Yeah, that's so
I
so
think
true. But there's so many agents because I think there's like 50,000 agents between Galveston and Conroe. That may have changed recently because a lot of them got out of the business last year. But most of them do less than a couple deals a year, and they don't stay in touch with people. And so when somebody wants to use you again, and I'm not saying you, but use that agent, well, they haven't kept in touch with these clients. So when they need to buy again in 5 to 7, 10 years, whatever that time frame is, they don't even remember you. And
Yes.
and and it's because a lot of people in this business close it, and they get that check, they run it to the bank, and they're off chasing something else. And that's okay to chase something else, but don't forget about the people that you've already done business with.
Yes. I do a
Hmm.
client appreciation once a year.
Awesome. Tell
It's
me about
always the
that.
Tuesday, and I'm trying to change it up, but then people are like, "Oh, I can't wait until next year," and I'm like, "Oh, I was going to do something different." But
Yeah.
I've been doing the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I give smoked turkeys away. So
Really?
yes, and they come to my home, and we have appetizers and visit, and I have things for the kids to do, and then they
Yeah.
leave with a turkey that they don't have to prepare in 2 days.
Or do you cook them, or have them cooked by a restaurant, or how's this work?
Well, I am not allowed in the kitchen. Just FYI. My husband does all the cooking. So the first year we did it, we did 71 fried turkeys,
Oh
and
my gosh.
he was exhausted for days. So he's
Oh
like,
my
this
gosh,
is a fun
Jill.
event, but we're going to have to change it up. So after that, I have a restaurant that smokes them for me every year.
Really? What a
So
great idea. You see all these pies that are given out in galore, but I've never heard of anybody giving away complete turkeys. This is crazy.
yes,
It-
and it's gotten a little out of hand because I think this past year we had 160 something turkeys that we
oh
gave
my
away.
goodness.
So I was trying to do, and I miss a lot of people with that because people travel for Thanksgiving, and some cultures don't eat that type of turkey. So I'm missing several of my clients. So I've been trying to come up with a spring event, like a soccer game, or
Okay.
something fun that they can bring the families out to. But I haven't
Yeah.
quite snagged what I want to do yet. But something, and then
Interesting.
each periodically I have, for example, for St. Patrick's Day, I send a handful of cards out to clients with lottery tickets in them,
Okay.
and
Okay.
and I try to pick the fun holidays, and send something at least once a year to all my clients. Just $1 lottery ticket, and you can win $100, or it's
Yeah.
just the fun excitement of it. So I do
Yeah.
try to keep in contact with my clients. If I'm sitting at a stoplight and I just think about them, I'll send them a text and be like, I hope you're having a great day today. It's
Yeah.
just those little things I think also help. Um,
Man,
and
I think I know why the company that I hired to go find the best found you. I mean, this is some good stuff here.
So it's just, you have to make that connection. And sometimes not everyone you don't make it with everyone,
Yeah.
but the people that you do make the connection with, I think is very important. And they've become an important part of my life and my
Yeah.
family's as well. I even had one client that came to one of my daughter's swim meets because her kid was interested in summer swim league. And
Really.
I mean, it's just, she got mad at me one time because part of the closing gift, I give closing gifts for my clients, which
Mhm.
I enjoy doing. But one of the closing gifts were 4 free swim lessons. And then I
Wow,
volunteered my
that's
daughter.
pretty expensive, I'm sure.
What?
Man, I said, I bet that's pretty expensive if you were hiring a swim coach. But you were saying your daughter did the
Well, my
teach
daughter
or
was a
did the
Division 1
coaching?
swimmer,
Yeah.
and she has taught swim lessons, I think, going on 9 years now, and
Okay.
she has quite the following. And so, and it's quite funny. So I gave I had to pay my daughter for 4 free lessons for this client, but then they've had all of their kids coming back year after year after year for lessons. Wow. And so it was kind of fun helping her build her business. But I mean, it's just finding that connection with that family.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the most important.
Yeah. Well, during all this, I think I know the answer, but was there ever a time you were like, man, this is not working? Or did it just take off from the get-go with you because you had such a skill at connecting with people?
There were several years in the beginning because I was not familiar with the Houston area. Mm-hmm. And you have to learn the area, obviously. And yeah. I moved down here knowing no one. So I had to, I'm sorry.
You okay?
I had to really dig deep into finding a niche of people. And I had some really, really lean years, but yeah. I found that building that rapport, because yeah. all I could do was get referrals. Yeah. That's all that was my focus, was I needed to get referrals to build this business that I needed. And it was tough the first 3, 4, 5 years before it started really taking off. And I just had to dig my heels in.
Well, thinking back on those first 4 or 5 years, what would you do differently today if you were starting over? Or if you were a new agent coming into the business, what would you tell that person? Hey, this is something that I didn't do that I wish I would have done, or this is something I did do that I wish I wouldn't have done?
I honestly, I'm working very, very hard at this, is setting boundaries. As a new agent coming in, you have to set those boundaries. I would take calls from my clients at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I'd be up at 5:30 in the morning. I missed a lot of my children's activities. Mm-hmm. And I would have done that differently. And I could have still had the business I have now, even if I set those boundaries. But at the time, I didn't think I could, because I didn't think I needed to be accessible 24 hours a day. And yeah. I found that that's not necessarily true. When I meet a client now, I will say, I don't take phone calls after about 8:30 unless it's an emergency.
Yeah, well, that's pretty late, even at 8:30. That's
I know. I'm getting better. And I don't get on phone calls until 8 o'clock in the morning. So that is extremely important to new agents. Now, you also can't slough off during the day and just be, business is going to come to me. It's a lot of work, but you can work during those work hours and then take time for your family and take time for yourself. And that's something I wish I would have done. I missed out on a lot of those fun high school years, elementary years. And that's something that I wish I would have. You can never get that back, right? Right. So that's something I wish I would have taken to heart a little more seriously then.
Yeah, I've interviewed close to 30 people for this podcast, and I've been doing this for 31 years in the mortgage business, and all the people that I find that are so stressed out and all this, they never take time to catch their breath. And it's just, I'll take your call 24/7, any time of the day, any day. And I'm like, man, you're going to burn out and you're going to end up going somewhere else and doing something else, because you can't do this forever.
No.
And it's like a guy told me once. He said, boxers box for 3 minutes at a time, and then they take a break, and then they get back in there and get round number two. They take a break. He said even the best champions take a break, and so I think that is some great advice. That don't sacrifice. And that was one of my questions later on is what are you sacrificing to, or what do you don't want to sacrifice to be a success? And so many people, they don't want to sacrifice their family times and things like that. So that's some great advice. Thank you for sharing that.
And another thing is, I had someone pull me aside one time at our company, and they were talking about my production and my how busy I am. And I did not want to give up control. I finally hired an assistant, and that was life changing for me.
Really?
Life changing. I've only had
Mhm.
her for 2 years, but it was life changing, because then I can be like, you know what? She has this taken care of. She can handle it. I can actually go to, a water polo game, or I can, eat dinner with the family, or, and that has also been a game changer. Now, I don't say as a new agent starting out to go hire an assistant right away. You need to learn the business. You need to learn the contracts and how everything progresses. But when you start getting to those higher levels of volume and the higher level of production, it's okay to give away some of that control.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning that, but that has been a huge help as well.
Yeah.
And I was worried that my client, now she doesn't deal with my clients. I still love to do all of that. She does all that paperwork I forget about in the back end, but it's okay. And it's okay to admit that you need help.
Yeah.
So, she has also been very proactive in my last couple of years of success too. So,
Okay. So while you're talking about your team, tell me a little bit about your team. Do you have more than you as an agent, or is it you and your assistant that just do all of this just on
I
your
have
own?
been a team of one for quite some time.
Okay.
I've had an assistant for 2 years. And then I did just hire a buyer's agent this past December.
Okay.
So I am starting to grow my team. I wanted to see if any of my children wanted my book of business, because I am thinking about those retirement years.
Yeah.
I have about 6 or 7 more years where I want to go full force, and then I can't leave my clients hanging, right?
Right.
So I thought one of my kids, this would be great to pass along my book of business. And every one of my kids' response was, "Mom, you talk on the phone too much. I don't like to do that."
Really?
So right now,
They
I'm
like to
needing,
text. Everybody likes to text. I know that.
yes. And
Yeah.
um, so I'm needing to grow a team that can eventually take over my book of business, because
Yeah.
I want them to learn about my clients. I want them to treat my clients like I treat them. Everyone has a different personality, and they need to learn that. And so I'm trying to get a few people on board that can learn that over the next few years with me.
Okay. Well, what are three non-negotiable? I think you've already covered several of them, but what are your three main non-negotiables, either in your personal life or your business life? That, hey, this has to happen today or this week, or all hell's going to break loose, and I'm not going to be as successful as I am, either as a mom, a wife, or as a real estate agent.
As a wife, the non-negotiable is I am not allowed in the kitchen. Period.
Okay, I'll remember that one.
Yes. And everyone in my family will agree with that.
Yeah.
Every one of them. A non-negotiable is when my kids call, I will answer the phone.
No matter where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
I will, if I am on the other line, I will let them know that, my daughter is calling. I need to take this. I will call you right back.
Mm-hmm.
That is a non-negotiable. And then giving 120% to each and every one of my client is non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm. Good one.
No one deserves 75% of your energy or your ability. Everyone you come in contact with that is a client that is using your expertise deserves 120%.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do to recharge yourself when you do it as hard as you have been doing for all these years since 2011, right? I mean,
Yes.
how do you recharge yourself?
Well, again, I'm learning how to do that by setting boundaries. But we try to travel some as a family, or I try to go somewhere with my husband a couple times a year, even if it's just for a long weekend.
Yeah.
I like to just sit out in the backyard and watch the sunset.
Yeah.
And just try not to think of anything, because I'll wake up at 2:00 in the morning with everything going through my head, but I just need some downtime. And it could just be as easy as watching a television show, but I don't do that. And so when I get, like last night, my daughter and I watched a show, the entire show. I did not answer the phone. I did nothing. And it was so exciting for us. I mean, little
Well,
things
good
in
for
life right now are
you.
just woo. But
That's awesome.
I need that little bit of downtime.
Yeah. And now the weather's getting so nice. It's beautiful to go out and watch the sunset. I did that last night myself, and we live in North Lake Forest, and my yard looks out onto the lake in the back, and man, there are some beautiful sunsets happening right now.
Oh, they're gorgeous. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? I told you this 35 to 40 minutes would scoot by. We're at 37 minutes so far, but I do have a couple more questions. And I tell you, I'm probably going to ask you back because I didn't get to go through a lot of the questions that I like to ask. But we would love to have you back if you can carve out some more time down the road.
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you so much.
Okay. So, what kind of legacy are you wanting to leave?
Ooh, I wish I had these ahead of time. These are difficult.
No, they're not.
Um,
I don't. We don't want the. We don't want scripted answers. That's why we hold off on
I
some of
know.
them.
Hard work pays off.
Yeah.
I think I've instilled that with all of my kids. You can work hard and play hard, and family is very important.
Yeah.
They should be your number one.
Yeah. Always. Always. What's one thing that you've always wanted to do that you haven't done yet, but it's still on your radar to get done?
Well, in my younger years, I was very adventurous. I jumped out of airplanes. I rode on camels. I toured with a
Yeah.
dance company in the Mediterranean. I was very,
Really?
very, very, I did a lot when I was younger. And one thing I have not done that I always thought I would do, I really want to go on a safari in Africa, and not
Hmm.
a hunting one, just a picture one.
Yeah.
Um, that's one thing I want to do. And I hope my husband and I will do that soon.
Well, I got a feeling you'll get that goal done. As successful as you are and as hardworking as you are, I know that's going to happen for sure. So
But
I'll wrap this up with a few what I call lightning round questions, and easy. These are easy questions, easy answers. And but who is your favorite author or speaker? It doesn't sound like you have a lot of time to do a lot of reading anyway,
I'm
other
not
than
a big reader.
contract. Yeah,
I'm not a big reader. I enjoy biographies. I don't know that I have a
mhm,
special author,
yeah,
but
okay,
again, for some reason, I enjoy learning about people. So I really like biographies.
mm,
I don't know that I could pick an author.
okay. Since you've been not a travel agent, but a flight attendant. I don't even know what they call them nowadays, but
Flight attendant's
um,
correct.
flight attendant. Okay. Where's your favorite vacation spot? You probably been all over this world.
I enjoy Costa Rica.
Okay.
It's very slow paced there, though. It's Tico time, so nothing happens quickly.
Yeah.
Um, but that's probably one of my um, most favorite.
Okay.
That's relatively close. I used to do some of the charters for the NFL when I flew. And so when they did their international travel, that was kind of fun.
Well,
But um, probably as a vacation spot, Costa Rica.
okay. Okay. What's your favorite pastime or hobby?
I really enjoy crafting per se.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I like DIY projects. Um,
Just as long as it's not in the kitchen.
exactly. Home decorating, interior design.
Yeah.
Um, I love all of that.
Very cool. Well, Jill, I can't thank you enough for being a guest on our podcast, and I would like to have you back. I want to talk about goals and when you see yourself walking away. I know you mentioned 6 to 7 years working hard again for 6 to 7 years, but I want to pick your brain a little bit more on that kind of stuff. So um, we'd love to have you back one day.
Well, my pleasure. I would be more than happy to.
Sounds good. Well, Jill, okay, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, whether they're buying, selling, investing, or maybe even looking at joining a team or your team, how would they get in a hold with you? We have the number scrolling across the bottom, but for those that are listening to the podcast, why don't you give us all of your contact information, and I'll be sure and put it also in the description of the podcast when we get it posted.
It is Jill Bennett, and you can reach me on my direct cell number at 303-525-8070. My email address is Jill, Jill, at Jill Bennett, Bennett, team, team.com.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again, and we look forward to having you back one of these days. And we appreciate you carving out an hour of your time today.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. My name is Mark Zachary. I'm the host of this Real Estate Pros of Houston podcast and owner of Next Step Home Loans. And if you have any questions on financing, whether purchasing or refinancing, that's what we do. And my number is scrolling across the bottom, but it's 832-504-9014 or mark at nextstephomeloans.com. But we appreciate you guys joining us, and we'll see you next time on Real Estate Pros of Houston. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston. Follow us on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple, and iHeartRadio, and check out our main website at nextstephomeloans.com for more information on mortgage news, loan programs, and getting pre-approved for a home loan or set up a quick home buying consultation. We'll see you next week with another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston.